when we're talking about classroom strategies, it needs to come from an authentic place in your heart. Not everybody is designed to be a teacher. I'm going to start that off with. Number 2, if you're not being authentic, you're going to discipline for things that don't need disciplining. And I say that because I listened to what these referrals were for, and it doesn't make sense. I don't just referral kids out of my class. Number 1, they will do anything to get kicked out of class. They don't want to be there anyway. So when you have situations that arise that are behavioral issues, you need to mitigate the behavior. You need to do that by creating relationships. You need to do that by understanding where the child is coming from. We have to understand that our kids are not mentally developed in the prefrontal cortex. They still live off of this mentality, I'm going to make you feel what I feel. I don't know how to communicate yet, so I'm going to make you feel it. When the teacher feels that feeling, they retaliate just like the student did. So, employ the strategy first and foremost. Don't take it personal. It's not about you. The student is behaving in their way. They've learned this from the generations that are teaching them at home. We won't go over right, wrong, or otherwise in parenting, but what we need to establish, we have 30 kids sitting in our class, all from different backgrounds, all from different walks of life, and they retaliate in different ways. Some students shut down and they sit quietly and they refuse to do their work. They'll put their head down. Some students are going to pick on other students, either verbally or physically, and you're going to see these subtle jabs, pokes, pinches, and then you kick out the student that responds to that because you didn't see all the little behaviors. And then when in conversation, you need to act better. Tell that kid not to poke me. I asked him to respect my boundaries. He didn't respect my boundaries. And then you put me in that seat with that kid. Again, I'm not coming to class tomorrow. So you end up feeling the tension. And you kick students out of class because you don't have the full story. So number 2, get the full story. Don't take it personally. Get the full story. Make sure that the disciplinary actions are pertaining to both parties. Because I guarantee you the kid that you kicked out of class was responding to an incident started by another kid, if not multiple. Get the full story. If a kid is having a genuine bad day, you can feel it. And if you can't feel it, get in touch with your feelings. Okay? And I'm not saying that we need to pat people on the head and give them gold stars for no reason. But when you notice a kid is having a bad day, this is not an excuse not to do work, first of all. Not an excuse, but it is time that needs to be taken and addressed. So I create what I call the Sandbox. Go to Walmart at the end of summer and pick up lawn chairs for $5. You might spend $20, but you have 5 lawn chairs. Okay? Go to another store on another sale like Marshall's or Burlington's or Ross and get a $7 rug. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to matter. Okay, you're going to throw that on the floor. You're going to put your 5 lawn chairs. You're going to equip those lawn chairs with accessible headphones and laptops. And you're going to create a zone called the Sandbox. And when a kid is in the Sandbox, they're still required to do work. But now they don't have to be collaborative. For that 10 minutes of time, they don't have to talk to anybody. They get to put their headphones on, listen to their music, vibe for a second, and just chill. And sometimes their homework is going to shift. Right? So instead of them working directly on the critical thinking piece that they can't handle right now because their emotions are haywire, you have them do a journal piece that they can delete, burn, throw away, whatever it is at the end of that 10 minutes. You don't have to read that. That's not for you. That's for them. Get them out of their way and then get them back to the lesson. That's how you should mitigate the stressors in children. Teach them how to handle their emotions, give them a time limit, and then pull them out of that space. We have to do that as adults. And if you don't do that as an adult, I promise you're doing life wrong because you're probably stressed about things from 3 days ago and you don't have a 24-hour rule to get yourself over it. So then you go home and you unload all of these problems on your spouse because you haven't dealt with the issue. Deal with the problem, identify the things you can solve, identify the things you can't solve, resources to help you solve the things you can, resources to help you solve the things you can't. And if that requires talking to somebody who hurts your feelings, talk to them. Anyway, we have to teach those strategies to our students. Start with the sandbox. And if you need to have a student leave your class, have the student leave. Sometimes you'll get into situations where one kid is mad at another kid, and it was a situation that didn't happen on campus. Hell, it may be a situation that didn't happen in general, but this kid is mad at this kid, and they're going to retaliate. They might want to start a fight. Get that kid out of your class if you can. Let that kid go to counseling. And if that doesn't work, because sometimes they'll retaliate, I'm good. They're the issue. Ask the other kid. If you can't get that kid to leave respectfully, and they've got friends backing them up, no, that's not an appropriate behavior. But some schools don't have backup. You can't call the principal, you can't call the security guard to escort that kid out. So you look at the victim who is being attacked by this other student who's trying to be all big and bad. Okay? Let them do that. Whatever. To mitigate the situation, you pull that student and you have them leave. Not on disciplinary action, but out of the safety and concern for that child. Send them to the career center. Send them to the library. Send them to that safe space where they can accomplish their work. You're not penalizing them. But then you can have a conversation with that other student. Hey, what's going on? And you know that behavior is inappropriate in my class. Why are you bringing me this? Why are you creating drama? What's the actual issue here? And then you do your due diligence and you go get the other side. And if those students have an issue with each other, either A, send them both to counseling, figure it out. Call their parents, figure it out. Have them sit down with a mediator, figure it out. Or separate them. Don't have them in the same class. And some campuses, it's a lot easier to do that. Other campuses, it's a little more difficult. But you can do that. But the mediation between those two kids might help them solve the problem. And some kids do just need to beat up other kids. Okay, that's what's programmed in their brain. No, I'm not advocating for fighting. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying that that kid who wants to push it to violence needs much deeper conversations. And they need to develop a stronger relationship with somebody else on campus, usually a masculine figure, usually somebody who's had prior anger issues, somebody who can relate to them. Well, I understand where all of this is coming from, but you gotta let it go. These are the effective strategies. Please have a masculine figure talk to a boy. And the reason I say that, when you give a boy a masculine role model, they are more likely to listen. They don't need a mom figure in those moments. Those volatile, what some people call masculine masculine toxicity, whatever. I don't know. I don't use it. Anyway, it's not toxic unless you allow it to be. Being masculine is not toxic, and these boys need to grow into men, and men know how to control their rage. It's not to say that men don't get angry, and that's what I've noticed being talked about a lot. Well, real men don't get angry. We all get angry. Are you serious? And it is never okay for a woman to get angry and hit a man. And I see that all the time. Well, I need to assert dominance. No, you don't. Calm your tits. Anyway, I digress. To be a leader, you have to pull yourself away from that toxic masculinity. Got it right that time. And understand that it's only toxic if you force it to be. If you don't alleviate the situation, this can happen in your classroom. And you will have students in your classroom, especially if you teach high school, where one student's charging another and there's gonna be contact. You have to problem solve immediately. If you have campus backup and security, campus backup and security. If you have to figure out how to break up that fight, break up that fight. Okay, we'll talk about things that I think teachers should be allowed to have in their desks to break up student fights, especially with some of the more toxic kids. Okay, the kids who live and thrive in a toxic, volatile environment. We'll have that on another day. Classroom management is about knowing the behaviors of your students and creating a safe environment where those behaviors don't happen. and asking students to control their temper and asking them to take a step outside when necessary. So I've had a situation when I was working in Arizona, and a student was he was having a bad day already, and it was only getting worse by the person that he was sitting next to. So he looked at me and he's like, I can't. I was like, cool, step outside. I'm going to finish what I'm doing in here. I will meet you out there. Sit outside the door. Anybody says anything, tell them Miss Long put you out there, and just sit and just relax. And I will come see you in a minute once I get everybody else working. He says, cool. So I go outside. He's having a day. And we have a talk. Yes, that required me to leave my classroom unsupervised. They were busy. They were fine. They were gen ed kids. It was cool. And is that the best option? No, it's not. Am I a counselor? Definitely not. I offered the solution of him going to a counselor to begin with. He didn't want to because he didn't feel safe with the counselor. He didn't have a relationship with the counselor. And at the time, I understood that because we had 4 different counselors shifting within that period that I was there. And he did not feel safe with anybody. As a junior, wanted to just get his stuff done. And I asked him, how can I help you? What do you need in this moment to be successful? And the first thing he asked for, leave me alone. Great, I will do that in just a minute. What do you need when you get back in my class? I will give you 5 minutes. I will come get you when that 5-minute timer is over, and you can get back to class. Do you want me to move your seat? Yes. Do you want me to move your seat for the year or for the day? Let's start with the day. Because right now that kid's just really getting on my nerves, and they think it's funny, and they do this, and most of the days I can handle it. Today I can't. Cool. So what if I just put you in the sandbox for the rest of the hour? And he said, well, isn't that reserved as a reward? Most of the time? Absolutely. Right now, you need it to be successful. So yes, this is going to be your option. Sit on the other side of the class, sit in the sandbox. And he was like, really? Can I listen to my headphones? Yes, you can. If that's going to get your work done, all I require is your work to be done at the end of the hour. I'm going to go give you your 5 minutes. I'm going to pull a chair aside, reserve it for you, get your headphones, and at the end of the 5 minutes, you can grab your computer and go over there. The rest of the hour, perfect. The rest of his day was perfect. He walked into the class, he sat back next to the kid that was irritating him the day before, and everything was fine. You have to give kids a break. That is classroom management strategies. That is effective strategies. Because if I didn't address that and I just kicked the kid out, his mood would have been more volatile. He would have not been able to calm down. He would have probably ended up in a fight with that other kid because he wasn't able to get the break that he needed. He didn't need it long term. He needed it right then. We need to encourage maintenance, emotional maintenance, not cowardice, not patting people on the head, not participation trophies, but true emotional responsibility. And the way that you do that is by encouraging kids to know why they're feeling that way. And if they don't know, walk them through it. Because there's probably a reason for every feeling that they have. We have a reason to be happy. We have a reason to be mad, sad, and everything. It's a phase of the moon, if you will, okay? Nothing lasts forever. And people think that they get these feelings, and these feelings are dominant. It's like dust. Blow it away. But anyway, I digress. What did we learn today? Don't take it personal. Okay? Number 1. Number 2, you need to make sure you teach emotional maintenance. Number 3, give kids a break. Number 4, create a safe space. It's very simple. Don't do tedious behavioral referrals and kick them out of class. They don't want to learn anyway. Force them into it. Okay? And your enthusiasm in the class, in the lesson, will always reinforce learning. Hands down. If you're not interested in what you're teaching, change your teaching strategy. It's that simple. If you're not interested in what you're doing and you wouldn't want to do it, don't force your students to do it. The more you engage with them, the more they engage with you. Have a great day. This is the American Teacher.